Welcome, fellow psychology enthusiasts! The way these recordings work is this. Be sure you have something to write with and on, including your Jeopardy list, as this lesson will serve as your class notes for the concepts. It's also a good idea to have your textbook handy since I will refer to it during the lesson. Anytime we have a recorded lesson, we will not review that lesson in class, nor will I reteach the concepts. It is your responsibility to listen to the lesson prior to our next class meeting. Be sure to jot down any questions you have, as I am happy to answer questions regarding clarification on a concept. Simply email me using Pellissippi Outlook email. This lesson will cover the learning objective related to bullying. Children want to be liked, page 305. Research shows us that having no close friends at age 11 predicts depression by age 13. Children at this age seek friends who understand and agree with them. Turn to page 305 in your book and grab your Jeopardy list. Middle childhood begins a time frame when kids begin to categorize one another regarding popularity. Those teenage years full of cliques are just ahead. We can classify children into three broad categories: popular, unpopular, and neither. Most children fit under the neither category. Let's focus our attention on the unpopular children. Neglected kids are simply ignored. It's like they don't exist. They are looked over. Jeopardy time. Aggressive rejected children are antagonistic, meaning they are hostile and unfriendly. Because of these characteristics, their peers actively reject them. This is the confrontational child that no one wants to befriend. Conversely, withdrawn rejected children are timid, shy, and anxious. They often retreat to themselves, and because of these characteristics, their peers reject them. Both aggressive rejected children and withdrawn rejected children are at an increased risk for depression and uncontrolled anger. Turn to page 306 and take a look at figure 8.2. Look at how we can relate bullying to popularity status. The two types of children we just talked about are classified as unpopular, but they have different roles in bullying. Withdrawn rejected children often become targets of bullying. They are victims. On the other hand, an aggressive rejected child can become a bully victim, page 307. A bully victim is a child who has been the bully and the victim. When it comes to bullying, victims are chosen due to their personality and isolation, and they are especially attractive to bullies if they are emotionally vulnerable. This becomes clear in figure 8.2. There are three roles in bullying. Number 1, perpetrators. They join in the bullying, escalate the harassment, or initiate new attacks on the target at a later time. Number 2, bystanders. They remain uninvolved in the situation, often by watching silently or finding an excuse to walk away. This is the level at which we need to intervene. Current research suggests that we need to empower bystanders to take action within the realm of maintaining personal safety. Number 3, upstanders take action to oppose the bullying. They either directly intervene by telling the bully to stop, or respond in other ways such as making friends with the victim or asking for help from an adult. Above all, personal safety must be maintained. A child should never be asked to put himself at risk in order to be helpful. The term upstander was recently added to the dictionary thanks to a petition from the Bully Project. One of my classes played a part in this historical moment by signing the petition. Grab your Jeopardy list again. You can see the definition for bullying on page 306. It is a repeated systemic attack on another person who is viewed as a weaker target. Bullying can take the many forms you see on screen here. Let's review them now. Physical bullying involves physical contact with another person, involving such behaviors as hitting, punching, pulling hair, shoving, etc. Verbal bullying relies on the power of words to harm another person. This includes name-calling, insulting comments, put-downs, racial slurs, etc. Relational bullying aims to destroy a child's chances of making friends and being accepted by peers. Think of the movie Mean Girls. The aim is to exclude others and set them apart by saying and or doing mean things. Cyberbullying is using any form of technology, smartphone, computer, social media, to harm another person. Highlight this form in your notes as it is especially damaging. This type of bullying reaches a vast number of folks instantly, and think about it. Once information is out there, it's out there and not easily removed. Facebook has become a haven for cyberbullying. The key word in the definition of bullying is that it is repetitive. It is never an isolated incident. Let's examine some of the consequences of bullying. This is not an exhaustive list. We could fill the whiteboards in our classroom with the consequences. These consequences exist on a continuum from moderate to severe and should always be addressed. When a child is bullied, academics are affected. The victim is overwhelmed with trying to cope and may want to dodge going to class or even being at school because of being bullied. Psychological disorders such as depression, problems with anxiety, and panic attacks are more frequent in victims of bullying. These problems may show themselves through internalizing and/or externalizing. Bullying also results in lowered self-esteem. Remember what we've been talking about with Erikson's fourth stage? Responses and feedback from others is taken to heart and is directly tied to a child's self-esteem. In addition to harming self-perception and confidence, bullying also leads to impaired social understanding. Victims mistrust others and do not view social situations in a healthy manner. We're starting to realize that witnesses of bullying may become even more psychologically distressed than victims of bullying, according to an article featured in the APA's Monitor on Psychology magazine. Witnesses end up being at a greater risk for mental health problems and even substance abuse issues. After a study done with over 2,000 students in public schools in England, researchers discovered that students who witnessed acts of bullying were more likely to report greater psychological distress. Witnesses may be worried that they too will end up being the bully's target sometime in the future, causing great distress and anxiety. Feeling guilty for not intervening helps to explain the higher levels of experienced mental distress. I'm sure many of you have read news stories about children who have taken their own lives due to bullying. It happens every day. So does all this leave you wondering where bully originates? We again turn to one of our initial concepts from Chapter 1, the nature-nurture controversy. Bullying can originate with brain abnormalities that are then exacerbated by insecure attachments, a stressful home life, hostile family members. Bullies may not have learned proper emotion regulation. Chapter 6. So what do we do about it? The answer is not easy, and we are learning more about effective interventions every day. We do know that the answer is not a one-time school rally. Eliminating bullying involves changing the entire culture of a school from the top down. Everyone has to be involved. The earlier we intervene, the higher the success rate of stopping a bully. You cannot ignore even one incident of bullying. Waiting only worsens the problem. Current research suggests that we should begin teaching empathy as a skill in early childhood. Critics question whether this is truly possible and how can you go about it. Be sure to watch the empathy video posted underneath this lesson. Think about it. How would you teach a child the important skill of empathy? Do you believe it can be taught? We also need to evaluate. You may have a system in place for eliminating bullying, but what if it's not working? You need to assess whatever program you have in place to make sure that it is indeed producing the effects you desire. One last thing to end on. We focus so much on the victims of bullying that too often we forget that the bully needs help too. Their behavior is a red flag, a warning sign that there's an issue that needs to be addressed, whether it's biological or environmental. You will learn as we approach the adolescent chapters that if a bully is not stopped, that person can get on a trajectory toward criminal behavior that carries into adulthood. Again, early intervention is critical, and we need to address every role involved in bullying, from the victim to the bystander to the bully. That's all for this lesson. If you find you need help with this chapter or any other chapter within Unit 2, remember the resources that are always available to you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm here for that reason and am happy to assist you.